Jay High from Couch and Keyboard back at it. Thought I'd do another Smash player profile. This time about a player I've mentioned quite a bit. But yeah, it's Aura, the Oregon Peach. And so, Aura has been a player around for a long time. People are learning more about him recently, but he's been entering for about 10 years now, if not longer. At least the Start DG data goes back to 2016. Started off, going to locals, nothing too big. Got a couple good wins here and there. DZ just got ranked, so got some, a set of pretty veteran players. Finally got a Zamu win in 2018. Anchovy became a pretty good player later on. And then 2019 got a bunch of ranked wins. Was able to actually, I didn't realize that Aura got ranked, but got number 60 in 2019. So was actually able to do pretty well pre-COVID. Number 60, not too bad. If we look at events back then, if we want to look at let's do Jan 2019 to, and then 12, 31, 2019. Let's look at some of these events. So 97th in Genesis, not too great. Intramural League, which I actually got some inspiration from. I didn't see a ton of amazing stuff. Emerald City. This used to be quite the series back in the day. You see, got a bunch of good wins here. Pretty good at Smash Camp. Pretty good at Main Stage. Yeah. So just pretty solid overall. Nothing too crazy, but as we see in 20 and the post-COVID, we see a lot. Nothing too crazy here. In 2021, people are just starting to get back, and then 2022 was when I think that people were really aware of Aura. Now at Double Down, I think people were more aware of Junebug's Dock Run, which, to be honest, it wasn't as crazy as he was later. I think people overestimate that Dock Run compared to what Junebug did later. But also Zane losing to Amsa and Slug, that was big. I didn't even realize that at this event was when Aura beat Moki. This was and pretty early on, and because Aura still got 17th, so it was pretty early in bracket. Beat a lot of top foxes this year. Sunsei, Meds, Zoe, and then not a ton in 2023. Got a few good wins, but 2024. I mean, look at this. This is incredible. Just so many wins against a lot. I think Aura's really good at the Fox matchup, as you'll see soon. But just good overall. And even beat a Puff here and there. And Khalid has some good runs. Good at the Peach Ditto as well. And in 2025 went absolutely nuts. Beat so many good players. Cody, Sunsei, Aklo. Salt moved to Oregon, so that'll happen. Also beat Mango at Battle of BC. So 2024 ended up getting number 33. 2025, number 17. And I believe on the summer ranking was even higher. Yeah, summer ranking was 12. So almost top 10 for half of the year. Was very, very impressive. Play a little sheet, I didn't realize. But yeah, so Aura was a very good player in the Pacific Northwest. Don't Park is a classic event for the Pacific Northwest. Hosted Washington, I think Seattle area. Battle of BC, across the border, not too bad. Been going to this event for a while. Sometimes we'll go to California for Genesis main stage, etc. But really started traveling more later on. I think 2024 was a huge traveling start. We saw, it might have been last year that Aura beat Josh Man at Altitude Sickness. I'm trying to think. Okay, they played Altitude Sickness. I guess Josh Man won. Okay. Oh, Carnival Clash. That's what it was. I forgot all about that tournament. Yeah. So Aura beating Josh Man was really impressive because Josh Man was starting to, I think, had beaten Cody, starting to get really consistent. Got top 10 end of the year, and Aura was still doing well. Um, went to Egg Dog Invitational, didn't do that well in 2024, but then 2025 did very well, especially at this Genesis. Uh, 3-0ing Cody right here. Upset factor 8. If you don't know what that means, it's good. Huge upset in Winners Top 64. Kind of like the Moki upset a while ago, but I would say even more substantial. Um, just so many Fox wins. So good at that matchup. Got a few Sheik wins here and there. Beat Mango. Beat Bobby as well. So got some other Spaceys in there. Even beat Dawson in the Puff matchup. But yeah, just really solid. So I know there was also that Wizzy set at Genesis where we started to get a little bit emotional. I mean, I think people said it's like when you know you're playing good and everything is working the way you want it to, it doesn't always matter about the win and loss. Sometimes the game win is just like you clutch it up so much and it's like, I cannot believe I did that. This is the best I've ever played. And so it didn't go his way that time, but still really, really impressive. And so I think when people think about olds like Pacific Northwest, uh, main two players that come to my mind are Silent Wolf and Bladewise, which are Fox and Peach. Silent Wolf being, much more known and highly ranked, but Pacific Northwest has had a lot of floaties. I think back on that one graphic that had I think like three puffs, four peaches, and a Sheik, or something like that, to where a top eight was just like, this top eight took 5 hours. So there's a lot of floaty matchups, but also Zoe was the best in Oregon for a while. Formerly Fat Goku, got ninth at Genesis, I believe. But Aura has played a ton of Fox Peach. If we look at the most common matchups that we've seen, let me go back to the. Let me refresh. Oh yeah, it's still there. Clear. And clear. So if we look at offline sets only, look at the amount of Fox Peach that Aura has played. Now Zoe's been a good player for longer compared to Stiv, but Stiv enters a lot, and you see Stiv in a lot of brackets, and took some losses. Wasn't able to quite get as highly ranked as I'm sure Stiv wanted, but Adam Smash series has been pretty stacked now. I know Plup moved to Oregon. Plup doesn't really enter much, but Salt is there now, so Salt and Aura, and I know Spark went up there a little bit. I think beat Salt, and so there's a decent amount of good players there, but I mean 200 offline sets of high level Fox Peach against people that know the matchup is going to really help you. And Zoe, more of these matches were earlier in Aura's career, while Stiv's been more recently. Zoe kind of taking a step back from competing a little bit as frequently. And we see a lot of recent sets from Salt. Taking a few of them when Salt was also borderline top 10, was top 10 for the summer. Also has some Marth experience. These two a little bit lower level. But yeah, like we have Ditto experience. I even beat Bladewise in the Ditto at one of those. And yeah, just a lot of experience across the board. I think when you have a player that doesn't travel as much, so sometimes you have like kind of specialized, like where you don't know the full matchup. You know your version of the matchup that you have. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that Aura has been super impressive. And I think as we kind of look at what can go forward, 2026 hasn't been the strongest for Aura. We see, let's see, events. So 33rd, not too good. Was in the bracket path of Rap Monster leading into uh, Zane, and then lost to Ossify, who had lost to Dial M. So he was in the way of two pretty impressive runs that were not to be expected. And so losing to these two players is like, okay, that's not your normal 33rd. It's not losing to, random Sheik and random Puff. Like you're losing to two really good players. So yeah, I think I want to see more from Aura. I think that Peach is in an interesting spot right now because we have a lot of players that are pretty good. We don't see Polis as much as we did earlier, but I mean we have Laud, Triff, and Aura. You don't usually see all of them in the same building. Usually, Laud doesn't attend as much because he's a doctor. Triff doesn't attend as much because he's from Europe. Aura didn't travel as much because he stayed in Oregon a lot of the time. But now that Aura is starting to show up, I would not be surprised if Aura becomes the top ranked Peach. Because last year's rankings had a bunch of Peaches near the top. Laud and Triff at 10 and 11, Aura pretty close behind at 17. I think after that you go down Malachi at 58. Let's see if there's anyone else. Oh, Coffee. Okay. So, yeah, there's some Peaches. But I would say definitely entering that top three conversation. And, I mean, Triff looking really good with two top 8s at Genesis in a row. Laud doesn't enter as much, but still looking really solid. Aura, I think, definitely has the potential to overtake them, though. It's always going to be close. It's going to be difficult for Aura to fully distance himself from those two Peaches. But, I mean, you're seeing a lot of Peach. So if you're a Peach fan, especially with the styles, I remember seeing, what was it, a Polish Laud set over, I think it was like Slippy Champions League or something like that. And just talking about like the float heights and kind of the styles and stuff, I was like, Peach is a really interesting character. I think so many people have been like encouraged to root against Peach because Peach is like anti-patriotic because Armada came from Europe, and you got to root for Mango, you got to root for M2K, whoever, PPMD, like you got to root for these players to beat Armada because he doesn't get beat very often, and so you kind of like not like Peach. But Peach has been optimized so far. I mean, even players like I mean, B-Bass doesn't play much anymore, but like B-Bass was doing stuff, Polish was doing stuff. Like we're seeing a lot of players that are like bringing a huge stylistic, flair to this character. I think that Aura is definitely someone that I would say is it's a little bit hard to describe the styles. I think I remember from that set it was like, okay, Polish prefers this height, Law prefers this height. I think Aura is like a little bit more like kind of like flow, like kind of adaptable. I don't see like always a super consistent game plan, and I think it comes from like you have like this really refined, like really specific set of like your game plan from a local scene because like you have to like really tweak things to where you can beat the same people over and over pretty much. And when you start traveling, you have to throw a lot of that stuff out and like adjust. You can bring back things that have worked against people that haven't worked in a while because you're playing new people, but you also like some of these more basic level mix-ups may not be working against these good players. And so I think it's interesting to see how Aura is kind of like intersecting that. And I mean, can beat any Fox. Uh, I would be really curious to see, uh, if there's like a Fox Peach specialist out there. Not many comes to mind. I mean, Malachi doesn't really enter that much in NVA anymore. I think sometimes is in California. Law doesn't enter as much. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's that many Fox Peach specialists anymore. I mean, like we used to say that. Oh, also I forgot Samaris. Samaris is also up there, but like Mango has not been the Peach Slayer anymore. Lost to Samaris and Triff in the past couple years, and so I think it's kind of untapped. Like obviously, people are going to know the Peach matchup, but you're not going to have that many like Fox specialists. That you have Puffs, you have like certain characters that are going to have a leg up in the matchup. I mentioned in a previous video, Aura has not played against HBox or STJ. I know that Aura probably doesn't want to. Because on paper that sounds miserable, but I think the matchup is showing to be a lot more possible, and I would be very curious to see how that would go. Maybe on the kind of not on the forefront. I wouldn't want to play those players back to back to get top 8 or something. That'd be pretty stressful. But if just attending stuff, getting some sets in, I would definitely be curious to see how that would go. And yeah, I think Aura definitely has potential for top 10. I also think he's just a cool person to keep up with as he's kind of expanded out of just being a hidden boss. And yeah, so good stuff, Aura.